Hey folks, welcome aboard the channel. If you're here for the first time, I'm Don. This is Rockin' the Country. I am doing Steve Wariner, Two Teardrops. It was requested by Mike Savage, and I've done some of Steve's songs before. Let me see how many I've done. Let me check it. All right, let's see. I did sort of like a collab with Bill Anderson, Roy Clark, Gene Shepard, Eddie Arnold, and Steve Wariner. The Tips of My Fingers, Holes in the Floor of Heaven. Jacob Herrick's requested that. I did a duet that Steve did with Anita Cochran, What If I Said? Terry Wood requested that. And now we're up to Two Teardrops. All right? Why are there just two? Because I know Sherry Austin had a song, one solitary tear at a time, though. It wasn't just one tear. That song's just absolutely beyond belief. Let's see what Two Teardrops are all about. Is one his and one hers? Interesting harmony.
Two teardrops were floating down the river. One teardrop said to the other, I'm from the soft blue eyes of a woman in love. I'm a tear of joy she couldn't carry. She was so happy she'd just gotten married. I was on her cheek when she wiped me away with her glove.
Nice.
I could tell from the look on her face she didn't need me. So I drifted on down and caught me a ride to the sea. The other tear said we've got a connection. I'm a tear of sorrow born of rejection. I'm from the sad brown eyes of her old flame.
Oh.
She told him they would be lifelong companions. Left him with questions and not any answers. I was on his cheek as he stood there calling her name. I could tell he had a lot of my friends for company. So I drifted on down and caught me a ride to the sea.
What a concept song, man.
Oh, the ocean's a little bit bigger tonight. Two more teardrops, somebody cried. One of them happy and one of them bluer than blue. The tide goes out and the tide comes in, and someday there'll be teardrops again, released in a moment of pleasure or a moment of pain. Then they drift on down and ride to the sea again.
You know, the harmonies in this song give a sense of expansiveness, and that's the ocean. It's just big. But the line that resonates the deepest with me so far is when she left him, his tear was due to sadness because she left. And I think the line was along the lines of like, so many questions but not enough answers, or like, I have so many questions and no answers. And I can relate to that line, which is why it resonated deepest with me. Not just because it's like, you know, lyrical brilliance, it's experiential.
Last night I sat in the waiting room. The nurse walked in and gave me the news. It's a baby girl and they're both fine. An old man sitting not 10 feet away just lost his wife, and he said to me, you've got a brand new angel and I've lost mine.
Yeah.
Guess the good Lord giveth and the good Lord taketh away. And we both wiped a teardrop from our face. Oh, the ocean's a little bit bigger tonight. Two more teardrops, somebody cried. one of them happy and one of them bluer than blue. The tide goes out and the tide comes in. A whole new circle of life begins, where tears are a part of the pleasure and part of the pain.
Yep.
Till they drift on down and ride to the sea again. Two teardrops floating down the river. Two teardrops. Two teardrops floating down the river.
That is a great way to depict pain and pleasure. Yeah, the joy. I mean, when I studied philosophy back at Rutgers, because I was a philosophy major and a criminal justice major, I was a double major, but in philosophy, you study a lot of things, and to me it was scintillating. I didn't even know I was going to like it when I took it. Yeah, my first class, it was probably an intro. It probably wasn't an intro to logic. It was probably an intro to philosophy class. And nonetheless, I liked it a lot. I took it in a sense just because I thought I needed to fill out my schedule. And I thought, oh, maybe I'll take an easy class. And it wasn't that it was easy. It's not, because like Rutgers actually, it turns out to have like the #2 philosophy department in the world. And Cambridge might be #1, and I want to overtake them. That aside, it was heady stuff, but it was scintillating. It was really like brain candy or something like that. And you studied happiness. What is happiness? You studied things like what makes something right, and what is a person. And you can't even believe that there's so many different ways of looking at things that you'd never even considered. And so what you do is you learn how to think, not necessarily what to think. You learn how to think. And you learn the gaps in your own thinking first and all this stuff. But in the context of this song, we're wired for pain avoidance. We're more wired for pain avoidance than we are for joy, acceptance, or happy, or what have you. The idea, what a way to flesh it out. To me, it was philosophical the way this was fleshed out, which is why I said my preamble there about the happy tear, the sad tear. But then the dude who had the sad tear initially wound up with a happy tear or a tear of joy because he had the baby. But at the same time, the old man's wife had just died and he's a tear of sadness. And there's actually different salt content in tears when they're tears of joy versus tears of sadness. There's different saline content in the tear, and I forget which one's got greater salt in it. My guess is that it would probably be the tears of sadness, because when we say that somebody's kind of like upset, we're like, oh, they're kind of salty. I don't know if that's the etymology of well, not etymology, but the expression, the origin. But in this one, what a way to put it. They're floating down the river and out to the ocean. This could not have been an easy song to flesh out. You come up with an idea initially for a song, and songwriters are always looking for ideas. And I'm reading The Great Gatsby right now by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and I'm only like on page 45 after 3 weeks because his writing in this is so brilliant. And I'd never read the book before because I never read anything that was assigned to me when I was younger. And the prose writing in this, the descriptors and descriptions and adverbs and verbs, adjectives that he chooses, I'm beyond belief how he wrote this thing. But it turned out like it took him years to write this book, and it's not a long book. And Tolkien too. I was just talking with a neighbor. I forget which book, but it took over 10 years to write a given book. And a song like this, it strikes me as being one that is not written in 1 or 2 sit downs. It's wow, there are these great ideas that kept going and going and going in this song, and they don't just happen instantly in your brain. Rarely does a song like this lyrically, conceptually, and fluidly happen in your brain in an instant. So, Mike Savage, good call on this one. I don't know if anybody's requested this one before, but good call on this. All right, the number that popped into my head on this was a 9.4. And that is on the philosophical aspect of it, the fluidity within the song, but it just followed. There wasn't a contradiction or a conflict within it. And it was just about the dichotomy. Joy, sadness. We experience both in this life, and that is the cycle of life. So there it is. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Have a great day. I'll see you on another video, and keep rocking the country.